Ladies and gentlemen, I've always opined on this platform that in politics, nothing happens out of mere coincidence, and that everything in politics is normally well planned, well scripted, and executed to achieve a specific political objective. Nothing just happens for the sake of it in politics. Over the last week, the former president, Uhuru Kenyatta, attended the funeral of the late Professor George Omore Magoha. The former president spent 2 nights in Nyanza, basically spent this night in Siaya, and in Kisumu, where he also spent his night at the residence of Raila Odinga. Then from Siaya, they addressed 2 rallies. One rally in Luanda, which is Vihiga County, and another one in Kisumu town here. And the president made it very clear during those roadside meetings that he's not going to exit politics, because by that time, William Ruto and his allies were piling a lot of pressure on him to resign. Remember, they had come up with the issue of tax evasion, they had withdrawn his security, and so much was really happening. And then while in Kisumu, he was very, very clear that as much as he's now retired, he will follow Raila Odinga, and that Raila Odinga is actually his party leader. And now let me ask you this question, because it's going to form this analysis. Because from all indications, Uhuru Kenyatta is going to participate in politics. Let me ask you this question, and please give me your answer. Do you think Uhuru Kenyatta's participation in Raila Odinga's current rallies will add value? Say yes, it will add, or no, if you believe it will not. Because I've talked to a few leaders, members of parliament, at least 2 or 3 members of parliament from ODM party. And they've always told me that for them, they would want a situation where Uhuru Kenyatta is actually disconnected from Raila Odinga, at least publicly. And one member of parliament, Caleb Amisi of Saboti, came out openly and told Uhuru Kenyatta and asked Raila Odinga really to lock Uhuru Kenyatta out of the anti-William Ruto's rallies, which are currently ongoing across the country. Do you think Raila should lock out, or do you think Azimio should lock out Uhuru Kenyatta from these rallies? In this video, I want us to look at why the members of parliament, many of them, are asking Azimio to lock Uhuru out of those anti-Ruto rallies. Before we do that, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or 2, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is now. Let us get back to the main issue, and let me just read your comments. Have you answered my question? Do you think Uhuru's participation in these rallies would add value? But why do you think these members of parliament don't want Uhuru in the rallies? For me, I have 5 reasons, because I've talked to some of them. The first one, which is my own, and Caleb Amisi also talked about, it is sponsor tag. You see, Raila has been in politics longer than Uhuru, longer than Ruto, and longer than majority of leaders in this country today. Raila Odinga has consistently held anti-government rallies for a very long time. So when Raila Odinga began this series of rallies, from nowhere, William Ruto and his brigades came up with the story of tax evasion, because Raila Odinga was actually piling pressure on Kenyans not to pay additional taxes. Then, because of the presence of Uhuru in these rallies, William Ruto came up with the issue of tax evasion, that Uhuru and the family are actually sponsoring Raila Odinga's rallies because they want Raila to shield them from paying tax. And that narrative was quickly picked by Kenya Kwanza. Remember, Kenya Kwanza have one of the best propaganda machines. It had to take the courage of Mama Ngina Kenyatta to stop that. When he challenged Ruto, please just give me the bill. Tell me this is how much I've not paid, I'll pay. But the fact is, there are Kenyans who now believe that these rallies are sponsored by Uhuru. The only question they can't answer is who used to sponsor Raila Odinga's rallies when he was without Uhuru Kenyatta. So that is one of the main reasons. But for me, I don't think Uhuru should be locked out of these rallies based on sponsorship. For me, Uhuru Kenyatta is the best suited person to sponsor these rallies. Because Uhuru Kenyatta has a beef with William Ruto. William Ruto defeated him. He would want a revenge mission. And the only way Uhuru can revenge is by sponsoring these rallies. And it should also be known that Uhuru is actually sponsoring these rallies. But these guys are saying that that sponsorship tag is coming up. Let me know what you think about the issue of sponsorship. Number two, why they don't want Uhuru in these rallies is because they believe that Uhuru Kenyatta failed to deliver the presidency to Raila Odinga. And that Uhuru Kenyatta had everything to deliver the presidency at that particular time. He had the money, he had the state machinery, he had the security, he had everything which was required or needed for Raila Odinga. But he still failed. Why? Because his camp was divided. And because the camp was divided, they could not take a common ground. There are those who were supporting Ruto because they had worked with Ruto before. So they undermined Uhuru. There are those who wanted Matiang'i and Kagwe's ticket. There are those who wanted a compromise candidate. And there are those who wanted Raila Odinga because they believed Raila Odinga had the numbers. So they believe that because Uhuru did not deliver the presidency while he was a sitting president, there is nothing really which he can deliver while outside. So that's the other reason why these guys are saying, let's move on with Azimio, but Uhuru should not feature anywhere. Number three is failure to take charge of Jubilee Party. Let's face it, as we speak right now, Jubilee Party is under serious attack. I want to take you back to 2013. After the 2013 election, KANU managed to win a few seats. William Ruto really wanted KANU to also merge and form bigger Jubilee. Gideon Moi stood his ground. That's a fact. And he managed the few members of parliament they won until the election. There are some who then defected, of course, because of political interest. Then again, after 2017 election, Gideon Moi still managed to hold most of those members of parliament until the last election, where some of them were defeated, but people like Leisuda came back. The question is, why is it not possible for Uhuru Kenyatta to take charge of Jubilee? If he can't take charge of Jubilee, can Uhuru Kenyatta take charge of Azimio rallies? So those are some of the questions these guys are raising. Some of them are legitimate. For me, if Uhuru Kenyatta were to participate in these rallies, I would not want Uhuru Kenyatta to be out of Raila Odinga's politics. No. He must be there because he has the money. Uhuru Kenyatta still has a bit of support from the mountain. And of course, Uhuru Kenyatta is the uniting factor. And it's also giving William Ruto serious political headache. So he must be there. But the fact that he has failed to take charge of Jubilee. Do you want to tell me that Kanini Kega, Sabina Chege, Yusuf Haji's son, can actually engineer defection against Uhuru Kenyatta, and Uhuru Kenyatta is just there? That's one question. And that's why most people believe that Uhuru Kenyatta, basically they talk of the long con game, the Bible will. The fourth reason they are giving why Uhuru should not is that in the last election, Uhuru Kenyatta failed to campaign for Raila Odinga in the mountain. And that if Uhuru Kenyatta is serious, the first step and the first thing he must do is that he must take these anti-Ruto campaigns to the mountain. That one, I agree with them, 100%. If Uhuru Kenyatta is sincerely honest that he's opposing Ruto, he should organize anti-William Ruto's demonstrations in the mountain. Because the mountain is already ripe for anti-William Ruto's rallies. That's a fact. So these guys are telling him, before you come to our rallies in Nyanza, before you come to our rallies in Mombasa, before you come to our rallies in Nairobi, which are predominantly Raila Odinga strongholds, please let us see Mount Kenya. Once Mount Kenya is in the box, then we can talk. On that, personally, I agree with them. And lastly, why they don't want him is because of Jubilee failures or Jubilee baggage. There's a group of people in this country, and there are many, who believes that Uhuru Kenyatta failed Raila Odinga because of the perceived Jubilee failures. That he was the president, he did much, but still he could not come up with a proper communication strategy to show the country what Jubilee was doing. I want to take you back, I want to give you an example. You know, William Ruto has been launching some housing projects, just touring some of them. Those projects were there before. They were initiated by Uhuru Kenyatta. But Uhuru Kenyatta never bothered. So many people believed Uhuru Kenyatta was doing nothing, while Uhuru Kenyatta was actually doing much from the background. The Jubilee failure perceived, because of course Jubilee failed in the first term. Second term, there was the corona again, it failed. In terms of perception, they don't want those Jubilee failures to bog these anti-Ruto campaigns, because majority of the Jubilee leaders are now with Ruto. So they are saying that since Ruto is taking Jubilee, let him take Jubilee. Let him take the leaders who are elected there. Then let them join him. Then Raila then remains as the leader of Azimio without Jubilee, so that they cannot continue carrying that Jubilee baggage. I don't know what you think, but those are some of the reasons. Do you think Uhuru should be locked out of Azimio rallies? Let me hear your thoughts on this. Thank you, and may you have a good day. Bye-bye.